Nuke the House, season-long NFL props. It's Keg, it's Kush here, and of course, Connor Allen, 4for4.com. It's just wonderful to have these guys here. I used to work for 4for4. It's a great site. Used them for fantasy. Then I found out that Connor was running the bet side. That's tremendous. We've got Keg. You know what Keg is doing. What do you think of that mustache, though, Connor? Every time I do a show, I've got to bust his balls. You have a nice coiffed beard and mustache. What's going on with this thing?
All right,
I gotta
hold
find
on.
out if you're going to kiss his ass or not.
Connor, let me explain myself first. The boys in the Discord said, I think you need to grow a mustache for the mojo this upcoming NFL season.
Yeah.
I've never grown a mustache before. I'm a beard guy. So I said, all right, I'll do it for you guys. Hopefully it helps the mojo. Now I'm getting shit for it, man.
Yeah.
I like to call that being a team player.
Yeah, I mean, you were just trying to do it for the squad, and now you're getting shit for it. But didn't you rip like 300 units or something last year, or like something ridiculous?
No mustache.
How much mojo do you need? More mojo do you need than that, Keg? I mean,
we did good, dude. I'll tell you what, man. One of the best compliments I got all year last year was when you were like, that might be the most ridiculous NFL season I've ever seen. Like, that's high praise coming from you, bro, because I respect what you do tremendously. So I'm looking forward to this show.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I still to this day, I mean, it's wild and it's all documented. It's all there.
It's fucking nuts. I tell people, don't get excited, man, because we're going to regress a little bit. You know what I mean?
You're not, no, we're not. And if you don't get to 400 this year, you're fired. And the CEO is firing your ass.
Can't we be realistic at all?
No. If you're what are we up right now this year? Over 100?
Yeah, but well over over 200 between all the handicappers through 8 months. Yeah.
So listen, here's the deal. And let me just tell everybody what's going on with us. I want Connor to talk about 4for4 too. But if you're just betting constant minus 10s, minus 150s, that's what the book wants you to do. Now, when you sign up and Nuke the House, you're probably going to hit about 25% of your bets if you're tailing Keg, but you're going to be hitting 20 to 1s, 30 to 1s, 50 to 1s. So when you sign up and we get you real-time in-game betting notifications, you can't just say, oh, I like that bet, and then not bet the other ones. You're going to have to really pay attention. We have to be transparent with that. But I'm telling you, there's a system here, and I worked with this guy, and he's the most profitable bettor that I know. Nuke 25% off your first payment of a monthly plan. Nuke 25 is the code there. You get Keg's picks, Coop, and the rest of the team. And my picks are for recreational purposes only. But I will say this: I'm up on the year. My one.
Yeah, a quarter unit. Settle down, bro.
I think it was point.
You're 1-0. All right,
let's relax. 2 units because I think it was like minus 105. So I'm pretty happy about that. Talk to me here, Connor. What's going on at 4for4? Again, a place I worked and a place I respect a lot. And I know you've got a great thing going on, especially in your Discord, you and Noonan.
Yeah, so Noonan does tackle props. He does tackle projections, so deep in the weeds on all that. So he's releasing tackle props every week. I do a lot of offensive props. I like to play a lot of unders and then alt overs. So I think that combo is kind of where I like to live, because I think if people are going over their number, I like to play the alt outcomes there, getting a little bit more juicy on it. So that's kind of been my vibe. Then we hired some other guys this year that I'm super excited about. We got a guy doing interception props based on an interception model. We got, a guy doing his own props, monotone football, crushing it, and then hired an intern to do prize picks, underdog, all that stuff too. So really excited about what we got going on over there at 4for4 this year. Again, love what you guys do as well. But I think it's great. The space has so much room for everyone to survive, thrive, and coexist.
4for4 neglected the kickers, though. Screw kickers. Kickers don't belong anywhere. I don't want to hear about it. If you play redraft fantasy football and you've got kickers, you're the problem, not 4for4.
So Jeff bets on kicker props every week. I swear I've never seen anyone bet kicker props more than Jeff. So you might have war here in the chat here in the next couple minutes. This is great.
All right, that's fine. Leave us a comment, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nuke the House. Make sure you turn on the notifications. But let's get into this because we're going to get to a few different markets here in the futures markets. MVP, offensive, defensive rookie of the year, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, maybe some quarterback, running back, wide receiver long shots, and then the Super Bowl as well. And I'm sitting on 3 free bets from DraftKings, and that's That's when I bet my futures, guys. That's when I bet my props. So let's get into this right now. I will be tailing 3 of the plays from the boys this afternoon. Keg, I'm going to start with you. We have had in-depth discussions on the MVP. Patrick Mahomes is sitting here at plus 475. Love that they added some weapons like Worthy in the draft. I'm not so sure Hollywood Brown's going to be on the field a lot, but when he is, he can stretch the field as well. Then you got Josh Allen and CJ Stroud at plus 850, Burrow 900, your boy Jordan Love at plus 1400, and we go down 20-1. Jared Goff, those numbers, it's moving down a little bit.
No,
Jared Goff. You're not going to bet it. That's fine, but give me the rundown on the NFL MVP, and then we'll get Connor's thoughts.
All right, so I can't bet Patrick Mahomes. The number's just too short. Could he win it? Yeah, he could win it every year, but I just can't bet it because the number's too short. 3 guys that I think are worth the sniff is 1, Jalen Hurts. You could probably find it at 16-1. I think we spoke on the Eagles this year. I think they win the East. I think Dallas regresses a bit. The Giants could be the worst team in football, maybe. Who knows? And Washington's just not there yet. So I think Hurts is live. I for the same reason, I think that CJ Stroud is live. I bet Stroud at 16-1 earlier in the offseason. We gave that out to our subscribers. And then obviously, Jared Goff. All right. So the number's gone down a little bit. So I'm not sure if I'm going to take it. You could probably find 25-1 out there, maybe, if you shop around. 14-17 games in the Dome. I know that the Packers are going to be very good this year. I know that if Caleb Williams is the real deal, Bears got an outside shot to sniff the playoffs themselves. But that offense is loaded. They got the best running back tandem in the league. They have weapons. I really think that if they replicate what happened last year, Jared Goff is super live to win NFL MVP. So those would be the 3 guys that I would target at a price. I think the Packers are a year away, so I'm not ready to get on Love yet. But from a value perspective, that's where I'd be looking.
All right, Connor, talk to me. What do you think about the MVP market? And then I want to get into a little theory here, betting theory after that, like how many you would bet in the MVP market. But who's on the list?
Yeah, from a high level perspective, I mean, it's crazy how this market has evolved year over year. When Lamar Jackson won MVP, he was like 65-1. When Patrick Mahomes won MVP, he was like 75-1. We're talking about guys in that range now, like Baker Mayfield, Tyreek Hill, Sam Darnold. I mean, talk about just totally nuking the market. I mean, complete disaster. But I still think there is some value. I love one that Keg brought up specifically. Jalen Hurts, for me, is a guy that I bet a good bit here. I think they're going to be winning 13, 14 games. They're favored in 13 this season. They upgraded offensive coordinator with Kellen Moore, who brings over a ton of motion, going to play faster pace. And then defensively, they brought over Vic Fangio as well. And they added like 4 corners. So, I mean, 1 or 2 of them have to be good. I think, at this point, someone's got to be good out there in the secondary for Philly. So I'm excited for this Eagles team. Obviously, I had Saquon Barkley as well. And then Devonta Smith was probably going to play in the slot this year with maybe some Jahan Dotson on the outside that they just acquired. So I think this Eagles team is very much in the mix to win the most games in the NFC. And if that happens, I mean, Jalen Hurts is very, very squarely in the mix to win MVP.
I'm
Connor,
with you, man.
When you're betting an MVP market at such big odds, you're going to bet more than one, right? What's the sweet spot?
Yeah, I usually try and mix it up at varying levels. So I guess Jalen Hurts is kind of one of my higher tier exposures. My general approach with these markets is I don't bet the favorites generally, just because I feel like there's just way more downside, especially in larger field markets. I understand the Patrick Mahomes has the best chance to win, but it's just the reward, like Keg's whole thing, you're only going to hit 25% of your bets, but when you hit, it's the amount that you're getting paid out on, not about how often you're winning. So I think that Jalen Hurts there is interesting. And then you go further down the board. I mean, if someone somehow the Arizona Cardinals are good, Kyler Murray at 50-1 with Marvin Harrison Jr., with Trey McBride, again, this should be probably 75-1. The Cardinals defense stinks, but if for some reason they're not, Jonathan Gannon can turn that around. I don't know. I mean, this Cardinals team could be fun here, especially offensively. I think no matter what, their offense is going to be very fun and interesting. Defensively, I have a lot of questions. But
Connor,
again,
do you
that's
think?
only one if.
Do you think that it's we talked about this a lot last year. Is it even worth betting a player other than the quarterback position to be NFL MVP anymore? Because it's a quarterback award, right? And if McCaffrey didn't win it last year, who's ever going to win it other than a quarterback? So like those value plays on like some of these wideouts, they look really good, but the odds of them hitting after last year, I mean, if they are so bad, if they weren't going to give it to McCaffrey, I just don't think that we're ever going to see anybody get it besides a QB.
Yeah, I mean, the last time was Adrian Peterson, and he, I think, broke the NFL rushing record, and
Right.
the team made the playoffs. So that's what
Right.
it literally requires: someone breaking the NFL rushing record, leading their team to the playoffs, and like not that many other good candidates to be there, like a down year essentially for quarterbacks. So that's a lot of ifs to bet on anything. I think less than, I don't even know, 200 to 1.
Agreed.
You're not going to get on anyone good.
Yep.
All right, so I'm betting Hurts. Who's the other bet, Keg? Goff, Stroud. I know Stroud, you got a much better number, but who's the other bet?
I would say, what is the number on Stroud now?
850.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I would say Goff then before Stroud, obviously.
Yeah, probably.
You like Goff too a little bit, Connor?
I mean, the Lions' offense is going to just be awesome. So again, he should be squarely in the mix. I think that's all you could ask for, right?
And if he could do anything, he could throw in a dome, and they're going to be in a dome a lot this year.
Yeah, and Hurts at 14 to 1. My goodness. I like that. So bet is in, Jalen Hurts, and then we'll back it up with a little Jared Goff. Just got to move down the list here. So Goff's still at 20 to 1. It's not nearly what it was, but it's also not the worst number. Okay, boys, we'll get into Offensive Rookie of the Year in just a second. Like button to be wonderful. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nuke the House. Turn on your notifications so you know when we're going live. Of course, Connor's with 4for4.com, the number 4, FOR, the number 4.com. Great betting content over there. If you want to sign up for Nuke the House right now, we got a special for you. Nuke 25, Nuke 25, 25% off your first payment of a monthly plan. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Keg. I'm going to let Connor go first on this one, but we got Caleb Williams. He's got a plus 35 now, 135. Jaden Daniels, 5 to 1. Marvin Harrison Jr., plus 650. Bo Nix flying up to 10 to 1 now. Drake May, 13 to 1. Neighbors is 14 to 1. Worthy's 22 to 1. I don't know if you want to go any lower than that, but talk to me about this Offensive Rookie of the Year market, Connor.
Yeah, this is a really interesting market this year because Caleb Williams is such like a heavy favorite in this market relatively. So again, I just don't like to bet the top. If you're betting someone that like you think is most likely, I think Caleb Williams is most likely if he stays healthy. I would be very surprised if he doesn't win this. Now, I think in the scenarios that he's not healthy or I don't know, something happens, which is still possible. I don't know. I think that further on the board, like I like Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. are both really interesting, both fantastic prospects, both going to get fed a bunch. Malik Neighbors, saw 6 targets on just like 18 total pass attempts in the first half of Daniel Jones, even though he threw 2 interceptions. Malik Neighbors still is popping off. So again, we could see like a historic rookie season from one of these guys or both, in which case you're live if Caleb Williams gets injured. Now, if Caleb Williams doesn't get injured, again, I think it's kind of still uphill sledding here.
Kegger, you like Caleb Williams?
Yeah, this is the market I chalked out in because if this kid has a pulse, I just don't see how he does not win because they're set up so well to succeed. But I don't disagree with Connor. Like, man, the thing with Malik Neighbors is because we were close to pulling the trigger on him to lead all rookies in yards at 5 or 6 to 1.
Yep.
Right. But my issue is Daniel Jones is pathetic. And I don't know where you have where your offensive line projections are, but we've got them to be number 32 this year, the Giants, dead last. So I really think that, but he's going to struggle to get the ball, even though he's an absolute stud. Because I'm not sure that Dimes is good enough. You know what I kind of think is interesting, dude? At 37 to 1, Keon Coleman. Like that wouldn't shock me. Like Xavier Worthy at 20 to 1 wouldn't shock me if Mahomes and him lock in early. So yeah, I mean, I think that there are options, but I think Caleb Williams is going to have to be pretty bad not to win Offensive Rookie of the Year this year. So yeah, I chalked out here.
It's almost more of like a yes, no, healthy in my opinion. Like he can be like bad and still probably win Offensive Rookie of the Year in my opinion. Like it would take him being like really, really, really bad just with how good his weapons are and the offense and everything. So
I'm with you.
All right, guys, we're going to hop right into our next market. That'd be Defensive Rookie of the Year. Latu's a plus 425. Dallas Turner 450. Byron Murphy the second 10-1. Jaden Verse 11-1. You just want to keep going down a list here. Chop Robinson plus 1,600, et cetera, et cetera. This is, and Kool-Aid McKinstry, just because of the name alone, 55-1 there. But, we're not betting Kool-Aid. So, Keg, you've looked at this extensively. Talk to me here. How are we approaching Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I landed on Chop. I think he might be the best edge rusher in the draft. And the award's gone to an edge rusher, I think 5 of the last 6 years, I believe. It feels like the price is fair. Like we gave it out at 20-1, 16-1. You're starting to lose a little value. We took it a month ago. Aside from that, I didn't really see anything that I loved. Like Turner and Latu, they deserve to be the favorites, but the price is just too far apart for me to want to back them. 4-1 is like, if you're asking me, would I rather back either of those two guys at 4-1 or take the shot on Chop that he actually puts up crazy numbers at 20-1? I'd rather take the shot on him. So I landed on Robinson here at 20-1. You might be able to find a better number than 16-1 right now if you shop it. I'm not sure, but at 16-1, I really don't mind it either. Probably wouldn't go much worse than 15-1 though.
Connor, Defensive Rookie of the Year. What do you got for us?
Yeah, the defensive stuff, I leaned on some help here from Noonan. So these are just straight from Noonan that I have also bet myself, but I think this is a really good one. So I think it's a great shout out there that edge normally wins, but I got a guy that's a little further on the board that does not play edge, I think is going to be in the mix. It's Junior Colson, who's on the Chargers. So he played with Harbaugh at Michigan and then was drafted by the Chargers, is basically going to play every snap, essentially, from the get-go here. Was like a tackle machine, had like over 100 tackles in 2022, 95 in 2023. Plays basically every game, is really good in coverage, and can do a lot of everything. So if he racks up, 100 plus tackles as a rookie, he may not win if you see one of these edge guys go off, but I don't think it's by any means a guarantee here that any of these Latu, Dallas Turner are top tier guys. So along the same thing that Ked's talking about here, I think that one of these lower tier guys can win with with a not normal season or a not normal award, because what was Latu went 15th, 16th, was the first defensive player taken this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was kind of an interesting one that could be pretty interesting here if Colson plays a ton right away.
Let's hit the like button, folks. What up, everybody? We got Yego in the house. Little Eddie Sports.
Fact. He's making $40 million a year, dude. I can't even. My brain can't even wrap it around that.
Johnny, Trevor, Marty, Daniel, Jerry Stacks has been here a little while, so it's good to see Jerry Stacks in the house as well. Connor's with 4for4.com. We are Nuke the House Sports Betting. And we move on to the Offensive Player of the Year. A couple of years ago, the only time I ever got this right was Justin Jefferson. Last year, fell flat on my face. But we talk about the MVP being a quarterback award, Offensive Rookie of the Year, or actually Offensive Player of the Year, running back, wide receiver. So here's the last 5. Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Michael Thomas, of all people. And then in 18, it was Patrick Mahomes. So it's been a little while since a quarterback took this award home. And actually 15, 16, and 18 was quarterbacks, but now it's moved on to the running back wide receiver side, Connor. So I look at these numbers. Tyreek at 7-1 is the favorite. McCaffrey 850. CeeDee Lamb 10-1. Jamar Chase 12-1. A lot of people thinking, it's Jamar Chase's year because Joe Burrow's in there. Jefferson 14-1. He's got Sam Darnold throwing to him. Then there's Breece Hall, Bijan, Amon-Ra, Saquon Barkley. Break down this board for us with Offensive Player of the Year, Connor.
Yeah, a guy that I think could end up winning this award here that I like this a little bit further down even is Garrett Wilson at 30-1.
Let's go.
I love that play because, he has no target competition. Mike Williams is going to have a slow ramp to start the year, working with Aaron Rodgers, who, we've seen for years basically transitions the short running and short yardage game into short throws on third down and in the red zone. So I think that Garrett Wilson could score like 15 plus touchdowns this season, which would obviously put him very much in the mix, even if he's not putting up like 2,000 receiving yards or anything like that. I think, the 13 to 1,500 range, 15 plus touchdowns puts him very much in the mix here. I mean, if we look at the quarterbacks that Garrett Wilson has had in his career,
dude,
unbelievable.
We just talked about we just talked about this. He's one of 12 people in the history of the league to go back-to-back 1,040 yards or better in two consecutive years. And if you look at the shit show list of people that are throwing him the ball, we don't even know how good he is yet.
Literally, we have no idea. I think his ceiling is going to be unlocked this season. I love him, and basically I'm trying to get alts and exposure to him in basically all ways possible this year.
Amen.
Why don't you guys just make out or something?
Listen, bro.
Jesus.
You see the sign above my head?
Oh, Connor, we're on the same guy. Oh, it's so awesome. Keg, come on.
I don't like you at all. You know
I know you don't. That's fine. We're stuck. You're stuck with me. You're my business partner. Where are you going to go? You're going nowhere. You're stuck, pal. That's all I can say. Anybody else, Connor, you're looking at?
I think you can make. I mean, I played some really early Drake London numbers. That's down to 50 to 1. I think that's fine. I think you can make a case for Bijan at 18 to 1 if they unlock him and use him like CMC. There were some reports from some like 15-year-old beat reporter talking about like how Tyler Algier was going to be like, super involved and whatnot. But I mean, that's like really the only report I've seen against him. Whereas everyone else has said like Bijan's going to be used like Christian McCaffrey. That's like GM, head coach, offensive coordinator, dating back to the combine. So I'm pretty excited about Bijan in that offense too. So talking about like 18 to 1, 20 to 1, I think is a reasonable play as well.
Chat not happy with some of these selections here. The Jets are more worthless than the shooting sleeve Ben Simmons wears. Of course, Eddie Money thinks.
I mean, that is hurtful.
By the way, what's wrong with working at Walmart? I feel like it's probably a good health insurance,
Listen, I think that the price is fair at almost 10 to 1 on McCaffrey because of the insane workload that he has and how good he is. Like, I don't really mind anybody taking a shot at that number because we know it's probably just going to go down as the year goes on. I agree with Connor, obviously, on Garrett Wilson. And one guy, I would say, for the exact same reason as Jalen Hurts to win MVP, I think almost 20 to 1 on A.J. Brown's a fair price. I mean, he's a stud. Like, he could really ball out this year and easily be in the running for that award, especially should something happen to another wideout. So, yeah, those would be the three guys that I'd be looking at.
Yeah, and again, guys, when you're betting futures, and I'll come back to this, Connor, just betting one guy is not setting you up for success, right?
Right, yeah.
No. Yeah,
I mean, unless you're
a couple usually
perfect, which isn't really a thing in sports betting.
Some people say that I am. My mom. It's good. I'm just trying to find better odds on Wilson here, but I'm just seeing 30 to 1 everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So there you go. Well, Garrett Wilson, offensive player of the year. Who should my second guy be then, guys? Should it be CMC? I just don't like the running backs here, man. They just fall apart.
He's so good, though, dude.
He's the best.
He's so good.
He's so good. You just know he's going to be 4 to 1 with 5 weeks to go in the year, maybe, if that.
All right. Well, the Wilson bet's in. I got to figure out the other one then, because McCaffrey 7 to 1. I mean, it's not the worst bet. CMC at 7 to 1. Do we have guys that
7 to 1's a bad number? Like, I thought I saw 10.
10 to 1, maybe 10 to 1 was over at DraftKings. If it's 10 to 1, I'll bet it. But
you guys have a show sponsor, or can we just cite random books? I didn't want to.
No,
I do. We and by the way, you got to sign up for like 20 books. You got to sign up for all of them. What's your book?
Oh, I have all of them, but I just didn't want to start spoiling any sponsors.
No.
So FanDuel $9.50 CMC if you're looking, so a little closer to 10 to 1, 40 to 1 on AJ Brown at Caesars. If that's only 18 to 1 on FanDuel, pretty interesting.
40 to 1 at Caesars. That's a fair price, man.
I'm gonna take a little sprinkle of that. I think
I am too.
Just because, I mean, we're both high on the Eagles. I think that one of the things I tell people too is like, there's nothing worse than being right about your like analysis and then not being able to profit on it, or like not having properly equipped yourself to, essentially like profit from it, because then you just feel like what you were right and then you gain nothing.
Yep.
It sucks.
Jeff wants to know if Bijan's worth a sprinkle.
I think I like AJ Brown 40 to 1 a little bit better, but Bijan's fine if you want another play.
Okay. We got a couple more markets to get into. He's Connor Allen, 4 for 4. We got Keg from Nuke the House, Holden from Nuke the House, and Defensive Player of the Year. TJ Watt's the favorite. He's coming off a pretty nasty injury. He's plus 550. The co-favorite is Micah Parsons. We see Max Crosby with the Raiders. That defense should be pretty decent this year. Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa plus 850. Aiden Hutchinson, 11 to 1. Maybe we can go down the list a little bit. You tell me, Kegger, Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe we need to just scroll all the way down, right?
This is basically the one market that I'm going to defer to Connor on, because it feels like a Micah Parsons year to me, because everybody else worth their salt up there has won the award, and I cannot back him at 5 to 1. Like, that's just not in me. So I'm probably going to pass on this market entirely, but I mean, unless Connor can get me on somebody.
A guy that I sprinkled on a little bit, again, leaning on some of Noonan's analysis here, but I thought it was compelling. The Aiden Hutchinson at like 14 to 1, I thought was pretty interesting on FanDuel. He, I mean, right now, finished the season, led the NFL in pressures, had 15.9 expected sacks. They, added more to the defensive line as well. Like, they leave him out there like a ton, which is pretty rare for an edge. Like, they leave him out there like 90+% of the time. So I don't know. I think that is one of those things where he plays on a good team, going to have a ton of work. If he gets like that 15+ sack mark, I think the award's basically his, and it's on a team that I know we talked about, the Lions. I think they're going to be really good and win a lot of games. So it's like that combination right there, I think, is pretty powerful, and at least worth the stab here at 14 to 1.
Do you like over 10.5 sacks? I think that's his number.
Yep. Yeah. I think Noonan released that actually. I think that's a great look.
Yeah.
10.5 sacks. Hit us up in the chat if you got a question or a comment. As always, like button would be great. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Good to have Connor Allen from 4 for 4 on with us today. Kegger hanging out in Jersey with that mustache. Holden, I'm here in Colorado. I'm just not, you know what? I'm just going to bust your balls until you shave it. Like, you can be like, stop making fun of me. And I can't look at this fucking thing. I just can't, Keg. Look at it.
February. Yeah, that's when
How many months until I stop having to bust your balls?
After the Super Bowl.
October, November, December. You want 4.5 months, 5 months of this?
Listen, I'm very confident in the way I appear. Okay, my guy, I'm not worried about it. You're more worried about it than anybody else.
We should be, because I'm trying to get people to watch the show. We don't need you looking like that. We need you looking dapper. You're a handsome man, Ted.
What a dick.
Yeah, totally. We got a couple other markets. I don't know what you guys want to do, a quarterback, running back, wide receiver in these season-long stats, but you already brought a couple up. So, Connor, I'm going to dish it to you here with season-longs. This is a market that I always find it interesting, because the injury attrition rate in the NFL is so high that I almost just lean toward the under immediately. But, Connor, maybe you've got a different way of approaching these season-long stats.
No, I mean, it's pretty similar. I went through the numbers the last like 3 or 4 years. I started compiling all the different player props basically, and the results. It's like if you just blindly bet the under on every season-long prop, you would hit like 60% of the time or more every single year for the last 3 years, which is pretty crazy. But I like to do what they're offering this year is like the 1,000+ receiving yards, 1,000+ rushing yards, like all those types of alt markets. I think are kind of fun. But so it's pretty much just unders on regular -110 for me for the most part. And then, overs on like the alts there. But I don't know. I think that's just my general approach specifically. But there's obviously exceptions. I think there's one that I'll get to where I did play a regular over here as well.
Kegger, you want to get into it real quick?
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about the Giants offensive line. In a year where Daniel Jones lost his security blanket with Saquon Barkley, now the player that he has to rely on when he needs 4 yards on third down is Devin Singletary, who I've never been a fan of, really. And now that kid's going to be running behind, like, might be the worst offensive line in football. It makes me feel like we're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of turnovers due to pressure, a lot of the Giants offense sitting on the sidelines and watching the defense work. 28, I have to shop it, obviously, but I checked a few books. 2,850 yards feels low, but I think it's a complete possibility this year that he goes under this number. They gave the guy $40 million a year, and he wasn't worth half of it. Like, they should have redrafted a quarterback and tried again rather than tie themselves to this guy. His weapons aren't terrible. We spoke about Malik Neighbors. He's going to be an absolute stud in this league once he gets off the Giants. But you need a reliable quarterback that can get you the ball if you want to be special. And Danny Dimes is not special. So I give me under 2,850 yards, give me under 16.5 passing touchdowns. I think they're both worth the taste. I'll probably bet them for a half unit each. Like I said, I have to shop the lines to figure out exactly what the best numbers are. I'm not very much of a season-long props guy normally because I hate tying my money up for 5 months on coin flip prices unless you're really going to like take shots in like the awards market or like Connor said, 10 plus touchdowns, 12 plus touchdowns and markets like that. But I do think these two are worth a half unit each because I struggle to see Dimes getting to 2,900 yards this year. And I don't think he gets to 17 touchdowns either because he's awful and their offensive line is terrible.
Connor,
one more we gave out.
It,
one more we gave out last week. Even though I picked another team to win the NFC North this year, I still think the Packers are a very good team. They should be a playoff team. We spoke about the prop last week. A top 6 offensive line, which is what we have them projected to be, with a very good young receiving core in Watson, Doubs, and Reed. I just don't see how Love doesn't build on what he did last year. He was not great the entire year. It didn't really click for him until week 10, but you can make an argument that he was the best quarterback down the stretch last year. Considering he went for 32 and 11 last year when he didn't even play well for the entire year, it makes me think 27.5 touchdowns is just too low, especially if the Love that ended last season starts this year. I think he gets 30 plus again. I think that number's like plus 160 you could find. I don't mind that either. But yeah, give me over 27.5 touchdowns for
Connor. Give us just a couple of plays here that you really like in these season-long markets. Doesn't matter position.
Oh, I got a lot. So whatever, I'll start a quarterback here real quick. I think Gardner Minshew under 29-25 is pretty solid. I don't even know if he's going to be the starter the whole year. Brock Bowers is already injured. Devontae Adams is rumored to be traded already. I mean, the ceiling is collapsing here on the Las Vegas Raiders. You just can't see it yet. The cracks are already inside the house, and you can see it from the inside. But I think from an outsider perspective, by week 8 or 9, this team's going to look pretty different here. So I think if he plays the whole season, maybe he gets 2,000 plus passing yards, but suspect offensive line. Luke Getsy's their offensive coordinator, one of the worst offensive coordinators in the league after, with the Bears. I thought it was a complete disaster. Obviously, some of that was Justin Fields. So, partially, but some of the route concepts were a disaster. So I think Minshew under is good. Playing it over, Bo Nix over 3,015 passing yards at FanDuel. Russell Wilson cleared this in 15 games last year. Literally worst case scenario, I think, in terms of player scheme fit for Russ and Sean Payton. Now we have like perfect player scheme fit, I think. He's been super accurate in preseason. The Broncos defense, I think, is going to stink. I think it's going to make the game script way more pass heavy than we're expecting. So I think over 30,015 here. Again, no risk of getting benched. So it's basically just betting on him to stay healthy for I don't even know if he needs 15 games, 14 games, 13 games through this number. So
all right. We got one more market to get into.
I don't hate that.
Yeah. We're gonna talk Super Bowl. I know
what about running backs and wideouts, bro?
Well, he just wanted to give whatever he wanted to give. I mean, if you're trying to cherry pick, go ask him.
I'm talking about us. Like, are we going to talk about running backs and wideouts?
You want to talk about running backs and wideouts?
I mean, what are we doing here?
I thought you got stuff to do today, so you're like, I want to do this amount of show.
No, but if I'm here, I'm here. Let's go.
Fine. Now I know that. Do your running backs and your wide
This is-
receivers, Keg.
All
Looking
right.
forward to it.
Running backs, I have two. Tony Pollard under his number. Why? We have the Titans offensive line to be projected in the bottom 6 of the league this season, considering the fact that we don't even know if Pollard will be the true number 1 guy, because Callahan all but said that they're both going to play a ton this year. So it's probably going to be closer to a 2-headed monster than Pollard being the true one. Combine that with how bad Pollard looked last season after finally getting the P1 workload. And I think it's the easiest running back fade on the board this year, personally. So I have to shop to see if I could find better than 750.5, which I looked, which was available at Bet365. I'll shop that line. That's the best number I've seen so far, but if that's the best I see, I'm okay with it. I think he goes under. Second one, Pacheco, over 6.5 touchdowns. The offense didn't look great the first half of the year. It looked like they were going through the motions, which was a big reason that despite a much stronger defense in 2023, they still started the year 8-5. And even still, Pacheco had 7 rushing touchdowns. They set the number at 6.5 this year. It feels low to me because I expect the offense to bounce back and have a much more consistent regular season offensively. I think if Pacheco replicates last season, he gets over his touchdown number. We still have the Chiefs offensive line ranked in the top 5, and he should have more production this year. The number feels cheap to me for an offense that can always explode at any time. It feels like Kelsey's MO now is to save a ton in the tank for the playoffs and explode during the postseason, which is why his regular season production dipped. I expect it to continue to dip. Rice and Brown get a ton of work. Worthy can be sneaky as a rookie this year because he's a lightning bolt. But if Kelsey's production is going to continue to dip, it kind of turns Isaiah Pacheco into the true security blanket on this team. At 6.5 touchdowns, that number feels easily attainable to me with any type of uptick in production, but that might not even really be needed. So give me the over 6.5 touchdowns there. Give me the under 750.5 if I can't find a better number on Pollard. And the floor is yours, my guy.
Yeah, I love those. I actually had Pollard written down on mine. Only thing I'd add to yours as well. We played 775 a couple of weeks ago, but I think that anything above 700, I think, is honestly fine. Plus, they're going to throw the ball a ton. Brian Callahan came over from Cincinnati, one of the highest neutral game pass rates. So I think that they're going to throw the ball. He's in a timeshare. Offensive line sucks. You nailed it. So I think Pollard under is a good look. Another under that I'm on for running backs is I played Rachaad White under 825.5 rushing yards. He played really well last season in terms of total output, 990 rushing yards on 272 carries, but he had 336 total touches. He himself already said this offseason he's excited to have Bucky Irving there. He doesn't want to be seeing 300-plus touches again this season, which the coaching staff agreed to said that they don't want him to be in there all the time. The offensive line is still, I think, middling. They lost Dave Canales, so it's I think a lot of different moving pieces here, especially with the Bucky Irving, I think being actually a really good fit for this offense in terms of what we're hearing. So I don't think that Rachaad White's going to be the number 2 or lose his job or anything, but I think we're going to see more of a 1 and a little bit more of working in with Bucky Irving and maybe some more negative game scripts this year. So 825 seemed a little bit tough.
I like that. Quickly, Kush, before we go, the wideouts.
Yeah.
Drake London. Listen, Falcons have been a mediocre football team for a few years now. They've been basically missing a quality quarterback that can get their weapons the ball consistently. They've gone 7-10, I think, the last 3 years. And with the addition of Cousins, I think they finally get over the hump. I think they probably win the division, and I think they get to the playoffs again. I think Cousins should have time to throw the ball. We've got the Falcons ranked in the top 3 in terms of best offensive lines in football. I think it puts players in play like London, Pitts, Robinson. If Drake London can grab over 900 yards with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke throwing in the ball, 1,000 yards should be attainable with Cousins, barring injuries. So give me him to have over 1,000 yards. at minus 110 at DK. I'll shop that line if that's the best number I could find. I'm fine with it. You can make the same argument for Kyle Pitts. He hasn't had the production everyone thought he'd have, but he also hasn't had a real quarterback either. So with the additions of Kirk Cousins, is Kyle Pitts worth an extra 100 yards this year over the course of 17 games? Probably, but I like London better. The other team I wanted to talk about, Buffalo Bills, Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel. Shakir had like almost 650 yards last year. That was on a team where Diggs, Gabe Davis, and James Cook were responsible for 2,400 yards receiving. So with the departure of Diggs and Davis, there are a plethora of yards to go around. Shakir, Coleman, and Kincaid and Samuel are their four options. You can make the argument for Curtis Samuel, considering last year, his last season of production with Brady, he killed it. But even still, like, I'm not the biggest Samuel fan, but he's another guy that could show up and grab 750 plus, like, easily. Now, I think you lost some value on that number. I think it was closer to like plus 290 a month or two ago, which is now it's closer to like plus 190. I don't hate it if you take the shot on Curtis Samuel, but I think Shakir almost has to go over a season-long number this year, considering it's Allen's most comfortable target on the field, probably aside from Kincaid. I see 775 as his number at Bet365. I have to shop it. I think it's a fair number, and you can make the argument that 700 is fair for Keon Coleman as well. So they got to make up those 2,400 yards somehow. So I like those. And the one thing I wanted to, before I send it over to Connor, I wanted to ask Connor about Houston. They have so many weapons that it's like it's impossible for all these guys to go over their number. I don't care if he throws for 4,000 yards again. Did you hit any of the unders on Texans wideouts? Just because there are so many of them?
So one or two of them is gonna pop basically every game.
They're gonna nuke, yeah. The rest are gonna go.
I don't know which one it's gonna be. Stephon Diggs is playing in 2 wide receiver sets, but Tank Dell is more explosive and is gonna play in 3 wide receiver sets. Is Stephon Diggs cooked? He played like shit the last half of the season. I have no idea. Nico Collins is the only true alpha, but his target share when Tank Dell played last year was not really that good. It was like went down a lot. Him and Tank Dell basically had the same amount of targets in games that they played, the same number of snaps in. So what do we do with this information? I have no idea. I think
that's why I asked. That's why I asked. I don't know either.
My strategy is going to be early in the season, play a lot of alts on all of them, because every game, one of them is going to go over like 100 yards. I just don't know which one it's going to be. So I'm going to play probably all of them in some combination and hope that I can dig up through the matchups, whether it's like man, zone, I don't know. Maybe try and figure out some rhyme or reason, see who they're going to feature that week, because, I mean, the offense should be awesome. I just have no idea.
Those ladders on Nico Collins last year were like crack.
So good.
So good.
Oh, man.
Apparently you like both, Keg. So that's
all right, settle down. All right, where are you at, Connor, with wideouts?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I did play the Malik Neighbors most rookie yards. We've talked about that a little bit. I played an under on a tight end here. Pat Freiermuth, I played under 500 receiving yards. Okay. He's like rotating right now with some other backups and like not really running them any routes. And Arthur Smith is in town, and they're going to be running the ball like the highest run rate in the league probably. And not to mention their offensive line is now slowly getting more and more banged up. So maybe he's even blocking more and not playing as much. It's just like a disaster here. And Russell Wilson at quarterback starting week 1. It's like all these things combined here. I know the number's 500, which seems like, I mean, laughably low. But like I just don't see him now at this point like breaking out and having that big season, even with Arthur Smith, like, you know, the tight end stats with Jonnu and Kyle Pitts last year. I don't know if that's going to be the same here, given we have George Pickens and, you know, they're going to be running the ball so much. So I like the under on Freiermuth, even at the low number of 500.
Just want to respond to our guy, Nuke the House, Matt. Jameson Williams over 750 yards. You have to catch the ball to do that.
Matt's a big Jameson Williams guy.
He is. He's going to go to the grave with that. So wonderful. Super Bowl picks. But if you like Goff and you like the Lions, you can get Goff MVP, Lions Super Bowl winners for 100-1. I don't know.
Super Bowl picks on a season-long player prop show. That's what we're doing.
This is a player prop show? Is that what it is?
I mean,
thought this was
this real
everything
life?
show.
This can't be real life.
This is real life. Don't you call me a Muppet either. I don't want to hear about it.
All right.
Come on.
All right.
You like the Lions, right? That's your team.
I do like the Lions. Like I think they're probably worth a taste to win the NFC. And we bet KC at 9-1 to win it all. While the playoffs were still going on last year. But I really, to be honest, and I bet the Texans too, because I am the biggest CJ Stroud stan, Connor, walking the earth. So I did bet them. I've been thinking about the Jets, but as a lifelong Jets fan, I'm just not sure I could get there because it would be the most embarrassing bet of my life. But yeah, I that's about the only teams that I've considered. I don't hate like San Fran. I don't hate Philly. I expect them both to be very good, but I have not bet a lot of teams to win it all this year.
Connor, have you?
I bet Philly and the Jets, and that's it. Those are my two biggest edges I perceive in the market. But I think the Bengals are going to win their division too. A little spicy, I mean, I guess it's a little bit off market. I think that's kind of fun. But other than that, like I just don't see a ton of value going down the board, barring like I don't know something catastrophic happening to these teams at the top.
Okay.
What do you expect out of Dobbins off the injury?
Not a whole lot. I mean, he looks good, but he'd be the first running back ever in his first year back to like perform off of an Achilles. Like
the data
in the last 12 years is crazy. I did not get in on his under. I know it was like it's 600 or something like that, or 575, which is, I mean, he 2 years ago he had like a multi-ligament ACL, LCL, whatever, and then tore his Achilles like week one after. I mean, even if he plays for a couple of weeks, he's I'm not a doctor, but the data suggests that it's not going to go well.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think he's played in 35% of the games. Is that an opportunity to? At some point in time, the body just says no. That's it.
And he's delusional. I mean, he's been tweeting like, remember the last couple of years, like, oh, I'm 100%. And then there's the preseason video of him like hobbling, like down the line. Like,
just too many injuries, especially the lower body with the running backs. You can't have it. It's time and time again. All right, boys, good job. Connor, plug 4 for 4. We'll do our spiel and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. If you guys want like player props or defensive props or anything like that, go over to 44.com, get the betting sub, and that's where all my content and player props are released. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, and if you missed any of our bets, we'll throw them in the Discord. We'll throw a lot of them in the Discord. So Matt, get ready, buddy. You said that we're going to put them in the Discord. You got to go back, watch, or maybe you wrote them down. Kegger, we got a lot going on here at Nuke the House. The big launch was last week. We will continue to bring people in, but Nuke 25 is the promo code, 25% off your first payment of a monthly plan. What else are we offering right now, Kegger?
Daily picks, betting guides for every NFL game, PGA Tournament, UFC fight card, and NASCAR Cup Series race. Plus 25 plus hours of in-game betting live streams every week. We will be live, barring a catastrophe, for every NFL game this year. And daily articles, all that jazz.
Yeah, I got a baseball show, MLB show with
tonight. What time?
8:30 Eastern time. 8:30 Eastern time. We'll get in, we'll make some bets, and that'll be that. I just saw Tim Patrick sign with the Lions too. I love that signing. Oh my God. Nice little possession receiver there. If he can stay on the field, it's good. Keg, you know what to do at this point. You got to put the graphic up. I'm going to hit the music, and then I'm going to say, let's go continue doing what we do, and let's nuke the house.